Hello, you're sitting at the couples table. My name is Tom.
I'm Heather.
And
Join
you're
us.
sitting at the couples table.
Join us for better or worse.
In sickness and health.
Richer
in some sort of order.
Or poor.
As long as we both shall live. And
welcome to episode 7 of the couples table.
Yes. Number 7.
I know crazy. Anyway, so this is the podcast, the live stream podcast, brought to you by Heather and Tom.
Yeah. This episode is brought to you by us.
and basically what we do on this podcast is talk about where we're newlyweds. That's the premise, really.
Yeah.
And we just talk about
Talk about things happening in our world and how we're approaching it.
Yes.
And it's all through the lens of a newlywed couple, in it to win it, thick and thin, all the things.
Yes. And on today's episode, we are going to be talking about YouTube, because if you're totally new here, Tom and I both have YouTube channels. We both run our own channels. I have 2. For me, it's a primary aspect of my business because I'm self-employed. But for Tom, it's just a huge part of his life.
Yeah, most people who listen regularly would know I'm a high school digital media teacher, which like digital media in 2020, YouTube is a huge part of that. So it plays into what I do there, but also like the thing that takes most of my time besides my day job is YouTube. And that's where most of my time goes. That's my main hobby, my main, whatever you want to call it, side hustle, creative endeavor. And I like that. That's not in any way a complaint. That is by design, because it is a thing that I enjoy. And, growing up as a kid, like making old school 8mm movies and stuff, YouTube is amazing. Like you can live stream to the whole world. You can upload stuff and share it with everybody. And it's mind blowing. So
yes. And Tom and I we love YouTube. We met on YouTube. Our lives are on YouTube. I've been documenting my life on YouTube for the past 4 years. But the reason, you guys probably all know that, but the reason why we're talking about YouTube in this specific episode is because YouTube has been stressing us out for the past week. It is something that we've been really thinking about, figuring out. I think this is something that any creative endeavor, the artist, the creator, whatever is going to, have some decisions to make and some things to just kind of figure out. And so it just so happened that Tom and I were kind of going through that at the same time. But it's funny because even though we're both YouTube creators, the things that were stressing us out about our YouTube channels were totally, totally different.
Yeah, I was feeling my stress with YouTube, and you said you were stressed, and I was like, "Oh, YouTube? Oh, wait. Oh, it's on the other page. I don't know how to switch it." But
yeah. So I just thought that'd be an interesting conversation, because it's not just like general YouTube woes, but it's like he was in a completely different world and I was over here doing something else.
It's a sort of tricky thing because imagine if painting were my main like creative thing outside of my career, and whenever I hit like painter's block and it's just like nothing was coming and things weren't working right, and I was feeling frustrated, I was feeling insecure, and I was feeling stressed and all this stuff, that would affect just sort of how you're feeling, because this thing that is supposed to be your source of joy and inspiration and that's supposed to be energizing is now becoming like, draining.
Yeah.
And on your end, it was different because it's, there's the added pressure of,
I need to make this work.
Yeah, because that's how you pay your bills. It's important. So it's like a similar stress in an entirely different way.
Yeah. So before we dive in, we're going to check in with the comments. Aaron is here just on time, finally building my home office podcasting video studio, painting the walls tomorrow.
Nice. What color are you going to paint them? Let us know.
Yes. Venezuelan. So that's Aaron, right?
Oh, the color was Venezuelan. I was like, which color is that?
Muhil's here. What's up?
Hello.
James and Mark. Good afternoon. Jared's here. Hey, Jared. Aaron is here. Is Heather cold today somehow?
It's okay. Literally, no joke. It's 116 degrees Fahrenheit outside right now.
116 degrees, dude.
That's what my watch says it. And I was just out there. But one thing soon as this house was built, I had it like retrofitted with like
The best
the best
AC.
AC. So it's actually like cold in here. If you ever listen to just my audio podcast, it's not here. Usually I'm sitting here
He has
literally
a
like in a
blanket on,
blanket
yeah.
talking. So
I mean, we probably don't need to have
There-
it on full blast, but
it doesn't matter. There's a vent right above us that no matter where the air is on in the house, this vent blows. So it's just like, and it's also right on the microphones. It's like I put this in the worst place. But whatever.
All right, so let's dive into it, Tom.
Let's dive.
I think we should start with you because here's why I think we should start with you.
Okay.
Because I think that I have never seen you so frustrated with your YouTube channel.
Yes.
I don't think I've seen, I mean, because I can honestly, truthfully say that I have been a witness to Tom's YouTube journey since the beginning
Yes.
of it, which is super cool.
You were like subscriber 1.
I was
basically.
literally, yeah, I was like there from the beginning. And I have never seen him feel so defeated. I don't even know if it's defeat that
It was
like
the hands, not the feet.
I don't know if defeat is what he was feeling, but defeated is how it was manifesting
Yes.
on the outside. And just frustration, lack of motivation, and just feeling so just slumpy about it.
Do you have any insight as to, I mean, you just kind of described it, but like, do you have any like other context that, I'm interested in the context from your point of view, because I can go into like, well, I was this and that and the other. But
well, what's interesting to me, because, okay, so here's outside in, even though I'm kind of in because I see him, but so we are in totally different YouTube worlds, right? He's in like camera, tech, video production, and I'm like in vlogging, which is just different, right? Different genres, different I don't know, verticals, whatever you want to call it on YouTube. And they all have their own culture and trends and news in all of these little sub sections of YouTube, which is cool. But like, you know, you guys know I'm not interested in cameras. So I don't know anything about what's going on in that world aside from what I see Tom tell me or what I see on Twitter a little bit. And what's crazy to me is like, I feel that Tom's channel is kicking butt.
it is. It's
like
doing great.
It's like, if I had told him at the beginning, like, let me tell you about your channel. You're going to have like 22,000 subscribers. When you go live, you're going to have 50 people tuned in simultaneously from around the world. Like literally not just the people that you know, but most of these people you will never meet. There's hundreds, if not thousands of miles away. And they're all going to be there because they want to watch you. You provide value to people. You empower and inspire people to create content that would have otherwise never had gone on to be created at all. And that was because of you. I mean, I can go on and on about like how amazing his channel is right now.
Well, thank you.
And like, I think, you know, just from the comments that I scan, it's like everyone really likes Tom's content. I think it's fair to say that his community, even the people who discover him, are like, wow, we are so on board with this channel. Why don't you have more subscribers? Blah, da, 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 is like the general feeling. And then it was so weird to see him here at our home, just feeling like, I don't even want to do it anymore. That's how you were feeling.
Yeah.
And I, you know, I don't, if you guys are subscribers to the Enthusiasm Project, I promise you, I will never let him quit unless that's genuinely what he wants to do.
I'm feeling so much better.
He's feeling so much better, but it was just really interesting that like, this is what I was seeing. And if you're just a subscriber, you're like, oh, I can't wait to the next tep drop.
So it reminds me of when I was in college, you know, like I was super dedicated. And when you're like 3/4 of the way through college, you've put all this time, you put all this money, energy, but you have nothing to show for it because you don't have your degree yet. So if you were to drop out, literally it would just be like wasted time. So you know you're not going to stop because you just can't.
Mm-hmm.
But there were 2 times I can count in my like years of college where I remember like even like calling home and just being like, I'm done. Like, I'm just going to get an office job or something. I'm done. I don't want to do this. I'm over. And I knew, and it was like sort of like I'm being serious, but it was also, of course, I knew it wasn't serious, but something about just being able to say that gave me the control to say it. the power over the situation.
So it made you feel better.
Well, because it's like, okay, this would be an option. It's not the option you want to do, but it is an option, and you do have the ability to do it. But it's not about wanting to quit my YouTube channel. It was more like it was like this weird disillusionment. And I mean, it was like getting caught in, this sounds so silly, but getting caught in the hype within your niche and then losing sight of what you're there to do and what you want to do in the first place. And I don't think I'm alone in that. And in my YouTube world, there's just been like events taking place that have just been so like, you know, oh my God.
It's the spotlight. It's the thing that everyone's talking about.
And you know, it was sort of like a conversation that I thought I wanted to be a part of, and then quickly learned that I didn't, but I didn't know what to do. And I had already like gone in a direction, and, you know, like it just required like a pivot that was painful to make. And, you know, like it was just frustrating and not like, I feel creative and fun. So for example, if you're interested at all in like camera, photo, tech world, and you look in your subscription box for the last couple of days, you're going to see a lot of videos about very specific topics. If you look at my video today, you will notice that it has nothing to do with any of those topics. That is on purpose.
Okay.
So that's, I don't know where to go. I don't remember. It's been such a like hazy. It's just
well, let's talk about why it was so
okay. So the core.
Why did it bother you so much?
The core of what both you and I do, so maybe this might tie into how you were feeling earlier, is authenticity. Like the root of both our channels, despite how different they are, is authenticity, and kind of like putting our own spin on something, because it's YouTube. Like you should do your own thing.
Yeah.
And that has always been kind of a guiding thing. And when you find yourself deviating from that, it just sort of feels weird and like off. And
you know what? That's a very dangerous, that's a very interesting point, because I think especially in content creating world, especially in YouTube, it is bound to happen where one of your videos is going to pop, right? And more often than not, the video that pops isn't necessarily the thing that you're super passionate about. Yeah. And so you're kind of at this crossroads where it's like, I can make more content about that and get the views and the subscribers, but is that what I want to be known for?
Well, it's sort of like, here's what I stumbled into.
Okay.
Which was,
break it down, Tom.
It all started long ago. I wanted to get myself a second camera.
Yeah.
Because I film my videos with a camera. I do a lot of things that it'd be just easier to have a second of that camera. It would make, I know that sounds like, you fancy boy, but it would actually make things really easy. No, keeping an eye out in camera news, I knew that this year was a big release for cameras, and I was like, that's perfect. Like I want a new camera, can kind of follow this.
Yeah, you've been thinking about it already. Yeah.
So Canon announced new cameras earlier this month, and Sony announced new camera this month, all of which are super long awaited, all of which have a lot of news around them. And I was initially super excited because
what are these cameras, Tom? Just
okay, the Canon R5 and 6 and the Sony A7S III. Okay. If you're in the world, you know what that means. If you're not, you don't need to, because it doesn't matter. But essentially, they're camera world is different than like a phone world, because in the cell phone world, an iPhone comes out every year and everybody freaks out every single year. Cameras are different. Like some of these, the Sony that I mentioned, people have been waiting like 5 years for that, because a camera comes out 5 years ago. It's kind of missing some things that people really want. Camera development is slower than other tech, so it literally takes 5 years before those pain points can be alleviated. And so it is a big deal when these things come out, because it can level up things or whatever. So I was excited to kind of jump in and be like, cool, this is great. Like I've been waiting for this. Awesome. Other people were excited. It wasn't just sort of random thing. It was like
the whole camera world.
Yeah, this whole community.
Buzz. I mean, I'm not even in that world, and I felt the buzz.
Yeah. And that I was like, oh, this is so fun. Like I want to be a part of that. You know, I can join in. We can all talk, get excited. It's just like geeking out with people, and it's fun. In a world where all the insanity is happening right now, geeking out about a camera sounds terrific.
Yeah, definitely.
And what quickly happened was that excitement, like it was almost like there was a tone to it that I didn't expect, which is like, it just sort of lost its something was off. I don't know how else to describe it, but I just started having kind of like a yucky feeling. A yucky feeling about the hype, a yucky feeling about like, wow, like there's a difference between like, hey, I want to tell you about this thing because I'm excited about it. And like you said, hey, I want to tell you about this thing because I know that's going to drive views. And so I'm going to like force content about it. And just there was just like, it wasn't just about like people being psyched for a new thing. It was like there was something else to it. And then there's the camera wars where it's if you're Canon, then you gotta like say why the Sony's bad. And if you're Sony, you gotta say why the Canon's bad, and blah blah blah. And everyone's gotta like stake their thing in the sand or whatever. And it was just like this weird, exhausting thing that sort of permeated everything. And I just found myself in the middle of it.
And so as this is happening,
it wasn't fun.
From what I'm looking, okay, because I see him go on his iPad, watch some YouTube videos, go on Twitter, and then like the reaction after. And what I started to see was Tom is, like he said, was just excited that these new cameras are coming out. And then it started to get into like just feeling like not excited about it anymore.
Yeah, it was like
almost every time you picked it up, you were just like, ugh. It was that feeling like, ugh.
And it's the which like I know this, I don't know. I feel so silly that this is even a thing, but normally this world that is energizing to me was draining, and that was I didn't like that because that's where I go to be energized. Like right. I can get drained any number of other. I can be put in a bad mood in other ways for the world that we're in. So this is like supposed to be the fun space, the safe space. And everything was just kind of like tilting in this way where like, I just felt like I was seeing authenticity kind of falling out. I kind of like then was feeling this weird thing. Like this sounds odd, but like feeling like a left behind. Well, I got to like jump on this and I got to do this and I got to be like actively part of this. Because
so you were starting to feel this pressure of like,
there's like a weird pressure of, yeah, like
I need to be part of the conversation.
Yeah. So, I mean.
And that comes from you now having an audience.
Yeah. And I mean, people even said on my video that came out today, you should make a video about the Sony camera, whatever, because everyone's talking about it. And I was like, there's reasons. Aside from the fact that like I have my own opinions about that, but that's probably for a live stream on my channel.
So how did this start to permeate into how you felt about your content?
I think it was because I was like, okay, in my mind, which this isn't a bad thing. So like the Rodecaster, I knew buying the Rodecaster, I was like, this thing is super cool. Like, I know I'm going to want to do a review on it.
Yeah.
Cool. I know I'm going to like learn about it and want to share like tips and tricks. I know I'm going to want to experiment, do this. So it's like in my world, when you get a new tool or you discover a new technique, you kind of think of like, well, there's this, like all the different ways that you can do it. And you start investing time in creating that content. You start investing your energy, your creative drive, all that stuff. And I was doing that here, like, hey, cool, I'm getting this new tool. It's going to be this camera. It's going to change things. Let's talk about the whys. Let's talk about the whats. Let's talk about the hows, all the things. Yeah, the Canon. And, and I was just kind of excited. And then it just sort of took this turn where it was like, there's just like some negative news coming out and like controversy. And it got to the point where it was like, okay, I don't want to be a part of this conversation. I'm actually just going to even cancel. I'm not going to get a new one because it's really expensive and I just don't like what's happening right now. But I had already like spent so much energy in creating like this, almost like this, I don't know, stream of content for it, which is very exhausting because every video is hours and hours, days, like it's tiring. And to literally get to a point where there's like entire videos that not just concepts, but finished, uploaded, captioned videos that you're just like delete because that will just never come out. And I haven't dealt with that before. Like going back to the painting thing, you finish a painting and you're just like, well, this is going in the trash. Like no one will, this is just not a thing. And even being like, I actually really like this painting, but I don't think it's I don't think I should like display it.
And that sucks because it's like,
that sucks.
Yeah. Because it's like you said, it is a part of you. It's a piece of you that you put energy into creating, and then you just don't put it on YouTube because the YouTube aspect is complicated. There's the what are people going to think? How's this going to affect the numbers? How's this going to affect the brand? And like,
it's more of like, for me, it was like, I don't know how to describe it. It's like thinking that like you're on the same page with a bunch of other people in terms of like pure just enthusiasm about something. And then realizing like maybe that's true for some, but maybe that's really not true for others. And there is this underbelly of like, it is for the views. It is like I've had people in my life literally tell me they don't care about anything that they share. They don't care how good it is. They'll even brag sometimes about how crappy it is. And they'll be like, look, despite how like little effort it is, look how many likes and views and whatever's it got. And to me, that's gross.
Yeah, that's not why we do this.
Not at all. And there was like, it was sort of like tiptoeing into that world. And I didn't like that. And what Heather said was, she was like, your channel, like the thing is, it is your enthusiasm. It's you being excited about stuff. The people who watch your channel aren't necessarily the people who want to go out and blow $4,000 on a camera. They're not the people who need the biggest and best. They're the people who want to make something. They want like guidance and support. You know, and practicality. They want fun. They want authenticity. They want the wonder, like the awe of, isn't it crazy that this could be on YouTube right now? Isn't this crazy that all of these tools exist? You know, the camera you have right now is amazing. Like, why do you even need a new one? And that was missing from not only the stuff I was doing, but the whole, like my whole world was just devoid of that thing, which is a key nutrient to it. And that was very frustrating.
So basically, here's what happened. So there was a camera coming out in your world.
Yes.
You started your channel because you're sharing what you're enthusiastic about.
And I've loved cameras my whole life, literally since 4 years old.
Right. But there was a little bit of like, okay, you felt like you needed to make content about this camera because
I almost felt like, which
and it was because why didn't you? Like, why wouldn't you have just done that?
Well, it's almost like, and this is probably in my own mind, but it felt like, oh wow, to keep like being a member of this community, like I need this like I need this thing. It's like my entry card or whatever, and I need this. And I can't, like, I'm going to get left behind. I'm going to get ignored. I'm going to get ridiculed, which is, again, all in my own brain probably, but it's the first time I've ever felt that way, because everything I've ever done has always been like, just follow your own compass and guide your own thing. And that's what you've always supported. And that's what everybody who's supported me has like been excited about. And it just felt so bad and draining to feel shifted away from that. And that was very frustrating.
I think I've shared this story on this. I know I've shared this story on this channel before, but I went through something similar where, you know, I have my sources of inspiration for how I create my content. And for most of my journey on YouTube, I've been like really so proud of every single video that I make. Like there's so many videos that don't get any views, and I'm like, God, like I'll be the view, and I'll be in my room watching it over and over again, and just like, oh, it was so much fun. And then like I find the little Easter eggs that I put in there, and I find I remember how much fun I had editing and all of that. And that's like so much fun for me. And then we went to Cody's like No Small Creator thing. Do you want to talk about what the No Small Creator? It was just basically a meetup of Cody Warner, who is another YouTuber, started this movement of No Small Creator.
This was 2 years ago that this happened.
And it was basically like, there is no small creator because
the fact that you're making anything at all is a big deal.
It's a big deal.
It should be celebrated.
Yeah, and it shouldn't be about the numbers. So like, even if you have 2,000 subscribers, that doesn't mean like you're not as valid or whatever, right? So he came to LA, and I helped him organize a meetup for anyone else who was in LA that wanted to come and just like connect, right? And we did. But the thing is, when I went there, most of the vloggers who were there were vlogging in the style of, I don't even know, Peter McKinnon
style.
Yeah, like you described this, because I've never even watched that world ever.
It's a little bit less trendy now, but especially 2 years ago, it was huge. It was like a style of YouTube where it's not just like
B-roll.
It's not just like Casey Neistat vlogging, doing about your day, but it's literally like, you know, like
super
cinematic shots of everything, you know, lots
Everything's
of
in
slow
slow-mo.
motion, lots of it's just lots of,
and then like muted colors. Like
yeah, I mean it's lots of like taking your
browns
YouTube
and-
video and trying to turn it into what looks like a little movie, but in a way that's just different than like what Casey Neistat did a few years
yeah,
before.
like Casey was just super rough with everything. He would like throw his cameras, like
Yeah, the
everything.
shots are
like,
shaky
Yeah,
and
it
out
was
of
like out of
focus and
focus,
that
and I
kind of stuff.
loved that.
Yeah.
But everyone here, okay, not everyone, but a lot of the people here, like they had cameras that I didn't know how to use. Like all of our cameras were DSLRs, and I was using, you know, the Canon S110, which is a point and shoot. So that made me feel funky. And then like even the way that people were filming their things it was just like I felt like there was this requirement that I didn't meet.
Mhm.
And all of a sudden, oh my God, it killed me. Like
And you had been doing YouTube probably longer than most of the people who were at that meetup.
I just stopped altogether. Like I lost it. I remember like trying to edit a video and I was like, I'm so caught up in how it's supposed to look like that I don't even know how I would make it on my own. Right.
Mhm.
And like looking back, I feel I wish I hadn't like, you know, I wish I had the confidence to not care, because the opposite of that was the year before I went to VidCon for the first time. And let me tell you, I've never felt more at home, more empowered. Like, I had a friend, Jermaine Ellis, who also is a vlogger, and he's been daily vlogging since like for years, but we met on YouTube. Like, you know, when I was basically first starting, and the way that he did his vlogs was so similar to mine. And like, it was just like, it felt so good meeting someone who was just on the same page as me. And there was no sense of like competition or like, this is how it's supposed to be.
Mhm.
And like, you know, we're better than others. And obviously that's not how like No Small Creator is, but
it kind of manifests in this like, I don't know, insecurity or
totally.
You know,
So
like I was saying, everything's probably in my head that I'm feeling.
Like
nobody in my niche is gonna be like, Tom, dude, like.
I think because like the first time I went to VidCon was like a year after Casey got super big.
Mhm.
And so it was everyone there was doing the same, like,
doing.
Yeah, they were doing what I was doing. And then when I went to No Small Creator, it had evolved into this like camera tech world that I just did not fit into. And
everybody looks like they're walking around with little like movie studios, basically.
Yeah. And I just felt terrible. So anyway, I think that's similar to what you were.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of, it kind of is. And it's just
because you want to be a part of the world, of course. And now you have this like platform. And of course, there's this sense of like, you want to be the one to educate on what's happening in your world. But then how do you define what's in your world? Is it you defining, or is it the world defining it for you?
And that's it's just, I don't know. I mean, like I said, I had been like into cameras my whole life, which I know that sounds silly, but
it doesn't sound silly.
I have to preface everything
always
with
apologizing.
with a disclaimer. But you know, I've literally never been tired. If any point in my life since 4 years old to 34 years old, if someone wants to sit down and talk about cameras, or I'm like, yes, let's talk about this one and that one and blah blah blah
you
blah
guys.
blah.
So yeah, the what is it? The light in this week of us being frustrated was Tom just got me the Sony ZV-1, and I'm still learning how to use it. Okay, and he has the Sony
RX100 Mark V,
which it looks the same as the Sony ZV-1. I don't know if it's the same.
Flip up, not flip out. It's a little different. But
so I was like, "Oh, Tom, can you help me like learn how to use these functions? Because this is like a step up for me." So we were on the couch and like sitting there just like in her PJs, like fiddling with
she had her camera, I had mine. We were like comparing different things.
And he just was on cloud nine.
Yeah.
Like he just was so happy that we were just sitting there nerding out about camera settings. Like
yes. And I was like, I miss this. And this week was the first time in my life where I was literally like, I don't want to even think about a camera.
Oh, see, that's
like
so
I don't want to even talk about it. I don't want to think about it. And unfortunately, like the place that I go for like creative inspiration, like YouTube and stuff, is just like here's this stuff. you don't want to see. You don't, and I'm literally clicking like not interested, don't show me. Like I don't like, I'm trying to like just find like, hey, here's a video about a bat. This bat is cute.
I started watching like literally a bat eating a banana. He just started to like go in a completely different.
I just wanted to remember, and then like I'll go, and obviously like there's work stuff. I'm in like teacher meetings, and I'm planning for the school year. There's like more serious things happening, and then in my free time I'm trying to do this stuff, or I'm going on my bike rides. Even on my bike ride, I'm like, but this codec is going to change the workflow in this way. And then
his showers got all longer because he was in there brewing about cameras and stuff.
I'm just going over stuff, and then I'm thinking like, well, is this a discussion worth having? Is it not a discussion? Why do I feel this way?
So did you feel a sense of like, I need to make a video about this because this is what's trending?
I did all that. And there's also the sense of anxiety because the thing I'm talking about is a huge financial investment.
So now you feel this pressure of like you influence people's spending.
Yes, and my own. There's also like amidst all this, it's like, well, okay, am I gonna allocate like a lot of money towards this thing? Like, is that a smart thing? And then there's layers on top of that, and then I'm sure we should probably check in with comments and then jump into your side of the story, because the flip side is we're always not on purpose, but we're very not opposite, but it's like a yin yang situation emotionally, which ends up being usually pretty beneficial. So like when our dog Ollie passed away earlier this year, which was a serious thing, more so than cameras, we're still pretty devastated. It's not hard to make either of us start tearing up and getting sad just thinking about it. So like that's still very raw. And it was obviously the whole time, especially right after. But for whatever reason, as sad as we were, like if I was having a moment where I was completely breaking down, Heather, for some reason, like at that moment, just had the strength to like comfort me in a way. And then later on, when she was completely breaking down, I'd have the strength to be like, and I mean, it's to the point where like literally like, we had to remind each other, like eat and like drink water, like just do basic things to take care of yourself that you're just like, I mean, I could have gone days literally without even thinking about eating because it was, it was such a tough thing. And that's typically how it is. So when one of us is high, the other is low. I mean, obviously you want to both be like on an up and up together, but when we're struggling with something, we can always kind of turn to the other. And like, even if it's literally like, I'm struggling with something, but I go to Heather and she's like, okay, boom, this thing is happening, that thing's happening, or vice versa. That's motivating because like, man, like they're in there doing this cool thing. Okay, like I feel a little motivated. But then I would go in to check with you, and you were also just kind of like, oh, like, so I would feel in a slump, and then I go to talk to you, and you were in your own slump for a totally different reason. Totally different. And it's then there's just no reprieve, and so that's my not effective transition.
I know we need to check in with the comments, but can you talk about how you feel now? Because I think it's better, and how I feel much better.
So yes, I do feel much better now.
You're not going to quit YouTube. The fans want to know.
That was not a thing that was going to happen. But what happened was Heather had to remind me, like, the thing that makes me happy about my channel and the thing that draws people to want to be a part of it is the authenticity, which is literally like on my website, there's a whole page about like ethics statement that just like talks about integrity and authenticity and all that kind of stuff. And the idea of kind of like doing things your own way, which, like, to toot my own horn a little bit, you can kind of go through. There's a lot of YouTube channels with white guys in their 30s talking about cameras, and you can go through those and let's just put it. Okay. Yesterday, Heather was on a Zoom call. There were 35 people on the Zoom call, and everybody's sitting there. And literally, just by squinting, you could spot her little square because it looked different. The quality was different. There's a big purple wall in the background. It just was different than the others. And I feel like I've been able to cultivate that for myself. Like, it might be in the same niche, the same genre, the same world, but there's something that's a little unique about it. And that's what makes it special. And remembering that that's what's important is key. And then also, like, it's kind of this thing of, like, this all literally started by me going like, I should just add a second camera to my workflow and just remembering like what my actual needs are and not listening to the noise of the world and going like, but this is the thing I actually need to do what I want to do better. I'm going to take this approach my own way, which is just not the way anybody else is doing it. In fact, it's the way other people are like kind of mocking, if anything. And I'm going to do that because that's what's best for me. And that's going to set an example and probably be helpful to other people who are in the situation and kind of feeling the same way. Like, well, I'm not going to be any good if I don't have the newest thing or the most expensive, or like I can't do the cinematic whatevers.
Right.
And that's,
yeah.
And so that, you know, just,
and it's all in your own world too, because I know for sure, like, there's
the beauty
no one,
community don't care about this.
well, that, and like no one on my channel was like, your videos don't look like theirs, you know?
Yeah,
like,
no one is. No, and even like the other creators in my niche, like if we were to talk in person, none of them would be like, it's not an actual judgment or anything that was taking place. But there is
a pressure of like, if 100%, if you had bought that camera, if you had made videos about that camera, it would have blown up your channel, like in a good way.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You would have gotten thousands of views, thousands of new subscribers, and so there's that. I don't want to say pressure, but this pull. You know, it's kind of like low-hanging fruit. Because of
course, like,
how do you want to grow?
You can do something that's shocking and crazy and clickbaity and grow that way. But this is like, oh, you can do the thing that you do that you're excited about. You can talk about it. You can share that. And that is the thing that's going to hit right now. It's not going to be like some other random thing.
You lose yourself.
Yeah. And it kind of is the thing I want to talk about, but it's also not like
you're forcing it.
There's an angle to it that's not the angle I want to take with it. And it was very fascinating to see how that affected you. It's because I think this is the first time. I mean, to that degree, yes. I've felt this in my professional life at school, and I've had, because everything I've ever taught for the past decade, I've essentially been the only person teaching it. And so if you're an English teacher, you know, you have an English department and you can talk to other teachers who are in your department and doing the same curriculum, doing the same thing. I've always just been like the only one doing what I do. And eventually I've been fortunate enough that the programs I teach, like through the hard work of students, gain the reputation they do of being solid. But going to that point, it's a lot of like, I'm just sort of doing this thing and there's no like meter of how I'm doing. There's no real like metric.
No comparison.
There's nothing here. I'm just kind of like going my own way over here. And eventually, like once things solidify around, you're like, oh, that was the right thing to do. And now there's things, but you're just kind of like, when you're like the first thing shooting out there and there's nothing to connect to, it's really scary. And that's kind of in a weird way how this feels. That was long.
Let's check in. Okay, here we go. Aaron, is Tom suffering as a result of an ex-vice president and his terrible drumming? It's such a pain, that algorithm. How's that for bad?
I have made a version of this joke like so 400 times. And that was the thing too, though, that was key, was like, no, it's not the YouTube algorithm, Al Gore's rhythm. Because what I can honestly say is, as much as I want my channel to continue growing, I'm actually really happy with where it is. Like, I'm satisfied. Love it to keep growing. Hope that it does. Don't want it to like stop growing, but I don't feel like, oh, if only. So it's like, why not just enjoy? So it had nothing to do with like the typical YouTube complaint of like algorithm, demonetization, yada, yada, yada.
Aaron says, Tom, I'm interested in your channel because you don't just regurgitate the same talking points as every other creator. I can't stand the deluge of reviews about the same damn camera.
I can't either. And I mean, okay.
Steve said it was too much camera stuff and too less time.
Oh my God. I've never been, like I said, never been sick of cameras.
So Aaron, here we go. The machinery of the camera promotion machine is all too obvious and visible now. Any authenticity those channels have goes out the window for me.
Yeah,
there's so many times where Tom, because we don't subscribe to the same channels. There might be
handful.
One, yeah, that overlaps. But so he'll show me his iPad and he'll show me his subscription box. He'll just like scroll through it and he'll be like, can you tell if something new came out? Because literally every channel he's subscribed to has the same thumbnail and it's the same new thing that came out and
posted at 12 o'clock midnight.
Yeah, all posted on the same day. And yeah.
And I mean, there's a part of that like that doesn't necessarily mean something is inherently bad. And I think there are people who do that really, really well. But there's also the part where it's like, I will maybe watch one of those videos. Yeah, like one or maybe two. And Ben will watch his too. He has very strong opinions about it. But it's just it's too much. And like, it's so much noise. It's so much noise.
I don't know. It's so hard because I can't imagine, like, I'm sure in the anime world, a new anime comes out and everyone's talking about it. So it's like, of course, you have to
think
talk
of like
about
a video game release,
yeah,
or even a movie release, or everything has its every world has its stuff, whatever that might be, and this is just mine.
Aaron, I don't want to have content just because everyone is talking about it. I was excited about the new Sony S3, and almost immediately I was bored about everybody pushing videos about the Sony cameras.
Yeah, definitely.
James and Mark, there was a trend in our community to see if you can eat 20 chicken legs. Would get views if we did it, but at the same time, our health and not interested, so we pulled in two directions.
Yeah, I mean, that's a food. So literally, like, I'm talking about like mental health. Like, your heart is going to explode. And that, I mean, that is a scary thing, because there's those kinds of communities. I mean, it could be like the food consumption community, or it could be like the fitness community in the other direction, but where you're pushing yourself to unhealthy extremes just because it's what you feel is demanded on you. And it's like, that's not what anyone wants, you or people watching your thing.
Patricia Low, it's tough when I compare my channel to others, especially when I hear someone else has paid to get more subscribers and they have grown quickly, and I still have a low number of subscribers. So here's
quality,
something.
Not quantity.
I'll never freaking pay. Oh my God, we were just watching. This is a very long story, but there's a guy named Graham Stephen who did a video. He's like a business entrepreneur, and he did a video breaking down Jake Paul's like financial boot camp or business boot camp.
Yeah, it was
program
like
or whatever.
Yeah.
And it was just basically, I don't even know.
He was digging through he was digging through this whole thing of like,
basically there were people, he partnered with like 8 other business coaches who all are influencers, content creators, and he checked out their analytics on Instagram, and you can see when they got a huge spike in new followers, and then every single day after that they would lose followers, which means you bought 5,000 followers and then you just lost a couple hundred every day.
Yeah, you bought a bunch, and then whatever platform it is, they're working to delete those so they go away, and you can
I don't know why that's something I just like,
what are you doing?
At the end of the day, I feel like with any platform, the whole point is to build a community, like an actual engaged community.
Yeah.
And the community, like life of it should not be determined by the number of
Our dog
people
is going
in
crazy.
it.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't think they can hear.
Okay.
But like, your community isn't better because you have more people in it. And anything, I would argue that, the community is like tighter knit and probably stronger when there's fewer people in it. But I don't know.
As long as it's genuine, I mean, that's the key.
Aaron says, I see your channel as an authentic voice sharing ideas about how to be creative. We don't need another marketing funnel for gigantic gear companies. You're beating your own drum, and so I'm a fan.
Thank you. And that's what means the world. Like the world, because that is, I mean, that's the goal. That's what I've always been trying. Look at my room back here is like 1,800 Aquabats posters. They've been around since 1994. You know who's like never won a Grammy? You know who's like had to have regular full-time jobs for the first 2 decades of that. Like, but you also know who was doing it their way the entire time, and that's what drew me, like as a teenager, of just like, whoa, like you can just do your own thing, and who has the most dedicated, loyal fan base, and like.
I think it's important that, so Tom and I talk about YouTube all the time, but we wanted to share this conversation, especially if you are a content creator, you're thinking about it. I think it's just important to definitely have the support system. So we support each other, but I think it helps us that we're sharing it with you guys, our community, because I don't know, I feel like we can get caught up in our own head. So to even hear the feedback from, the people that we create the content for, it's nice to be like, okay, so we're on the same page, right? It wasn't just like all up in my head. But anyway, Steve says that your hair is different.
It's quarantine time. It's like longer now, and it wouldn't stand up.
Ooh,
so
I
now
like
it's, like,
this.
down.
Get yourself someone who looks at you like Heather looks at Tom.
Yes.
He's so cute. Okay.
I like that one. That was a good one. That's the pinned comment.
Wait. To see if now I have to say this. I have worried about this a lot. If this will be sustainable for me because I can't afford that and not sure if I want to be another dot in the noise because of too much ISO.
And you it's funny because you were actually I like that metaphor, but you were actually one of the examples.
Oh yeah, he brought you up
specifically where I was like, look at all these people who have like multi-billion-dollar corporations like handing them free things and sponsoring this and that, whatever. And look at someone like Tusif who's out there like
Your
doing his
content's
own
good,
thing.
yeah.
And it's so good. And it's so like, it's so authentic. It's so well made. And it doesn't need to be, it's not because you spent $4,000 on a brand new camera. And it's not because you're chasing a trend. It's because you're sharing your point of view,
yeah.
your voice. And it's just, I mean, I would rather watch 10 of those videos than one of the others.
Mike, speaking of doing what you want, I've been a little sad with the everyday dad moving from cameras to computer reviews, but I wonder if he just got bored of reviewing cams.
So we're internet buddies. He's such a great guy. And his thing was, I mean, essentially sort of by accident. He's pivoted his channel several times and he's been super public about this. So I'm not like airing dirty laundry. He just sort of like, he's like me, has lots of interests and they shift. But a few months ago, he just happened to like accidentally make some iPad videos. They did super well. And for him, he's literally the everyday dad, but he would post these camera related videos and everyone would come in and be like, this isn't what you would use on a film set or whatever. And he's like, yeah, I know. It's not for that. Like, that's not the angle I'm taking here. And it was just kind of like fending off like this negativity of like people who were just not understanding the context. And then finding this community that was like way more interested in, that was just positive and accepting and like super into it, getting a lot of value out of it. And he was like, oh, I can just like nerd out on cameras on my own to create the stuff I want to make. And then I can create stuff for a positive community that appreciates a different thing. And I don't have to be a part of like all this, this cycle at all.
Right. So it allows you to be able to wear the viewer hat, fan hat for the camera tech world. But when you put your creator hat on, you only have the fan hat and the customer hat as like a genuine consumer.
Yeah, and so it
doesn't overlap.
And his
so
channel's
have these like
literally in the past like couple months, it's almost doubled in size. So like it's
That's
clearly
crazy. Wow.
He's
chewing, yeah. They can hear the dogs and it's great.
Okay, as long as well, whatever. It's authentic, right?
Let's see. Thanks. I feel better now. You are right. I will keep being me and make whatever makes me smile.
Exactly.
There you go.
Because that's the stuff that's gonna like the other stuff will be really popular right now and no one will remember it next week for the most part. Whereas like the other stuff kind of withstands the test of time a bit better.
I think, okay, so I don't think we have time to get into my whole thing, so we can save it for another day. Plus our dog is like trying to get out. So, but the one thing that I will say to finish yours off is one of the reasons why I fell in love with you.
Oh, one of the many
is that you have always had this like sense of awe and wonder for the legacy that you are able to leave and build and create and share on YouTube. Like literally one of the first
just
live
the fact
streams
that it's possible.
Yeah, one of the first live streams that we did. We weren't even together, okay? It was a Friday night, maybe 3 weeks after we had met, maybe a month. And it was Friday night. We were 2 hours away and we were like, let's just hang out on YouTube Live. And that's when you told me that quote about when you die twice. You want to talk about that?
There's I forget the exact wording of it. It's a quote, proverb, whatever, but everybody dies twice. Once when you physically die, and again when somebody says your name for the last time.
Yeah. And like when he told me that, I was like, oh my God, that's such a crazy concept.
Oh yeah, you can see it in the video. She's like eating dinner or something. You're just like, you're gonna just like
yeah, I was like, oh my God. Because it's like a crazy thing to think about, that there is gonna be time where someone says your name for the very, like your name is said for the very last time.
The thought of you.
Yeah. And it's not when you physically die. People will go on to talk about you. And your YouTube channel kind of allows you to be something to be talked about. Not that the goal is for you to, continue being talked about, but like your presence, your voice, your experience, your perspective can still be something that people can learn from, reflect on, enjoy, experience through your YouTube channel. And I feel like whenever there is a compromise to that, so you can buy subscribers, you can follow the trend, you can do what everyone else is doing, but is that part of the legacy that you want to leave, that you want to create? And it's not the glamorous way, it's not the sexy way, but I think that's the way where you can feel good about going to bed at night.
Well, that's what makes it also fun and sustainable, because then
it's slow as hell. But
yeah,
it's the slow way for sure.
Yeah, but that's the thing that then is going to keep you feeling like, yes, okay, I'm happy with what I'm doing. I like it. I'm motivated. If 6 people are watching, 6 people see the video, like it's fine.
Yeah.
We don't want to touch on their stuff at all. I know, like, we're short on time.
Get into Heather's whole thing. Well, let's talk about it a little bit. So going off of this, basically my thing was, I was at this crossroads of,
Heather's just invested a lot of money in a year-long, like, program. I don't know what you would want to call it, to like be like almost like a school, kind of like a yeah.
I mean, they call it the MBA school for online course creators. Is basically what it is. So
you made the commitment, the financial commitment and the time commitment for the next full-on year, 52 weeks, well, like 50 weeks.
Yeah. I know, I can't believe it's like oh my gosh.
And with that, you've had to like essentially take everything you've built up over the past 4 years and just break it down piece by piece and then see how you want to rebuild it.
Yeah, because I want to really want to, set a business goal and have everything steer in that direction. And right now I have 2.5 YouTube channels. I started a 3rd one and it's like just sitting there, and I thought I was going to go all into it. And then there's this channel that really was just kind of sitting there until I started this program. And now I have like something to actually document, because it was just like, oh, Tom and I are getting married. Cool. Well, now we're doing this podcast over here for fun. Like, it's all for fun, but it wasn't like, where am I going to go with this? Yeah. Like, what's the goal? What is this all like contributing towards? And so basically I was at this crossroads where, like, okay, if you want to start a business, the very first thing that people ask you is not what are your services and products, it's who is your target audience? Who is the person that you want to sell to? Because then everything else revolves around that, right? So if you know who your target audience is, you know exactly what their pain points are, you know exactly what they need help with, you know exactly where they hang out, you know how to connect with them, you know the language that they speak, blah, da, 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 da. And I've never been able to identify who my target audience is when it comes to YouTube coaching, because literally it's just someone who wants to start a YouTube channel. And to me, that just seems really broad. Yeah. And so I was like, oh, maybe what I could do is corner a section of the market and be the YouTube coach specifically for nonprofit organizations, because I have nonprofit experience. I feel like this conversation is getting a little boring because it's all business talk, but it's just what
she started her own 501c3.
Yeah. Anyway, so I was like, okay, no one's doing that. And I know exactly where nonprofit professionals hang out. The community's already built. It's just a matter of getting in front of the eyes so that you can tell them, hey, if you're looking to do this, like, here's the thing that I offer to help you do that. And I just was like, do I shift everything now to create a whole new email list, start a whole new YouTube channel, grow a whole different audience, redo an online course, like just shift everything to now cater to this very specific audience? And it's not, I decided not to, because it's not what I want to do, but I felt like it was the smart business move, because again, the audience was so specific. Whereas before it's just like, hey, anybody, literally anybody. Mm-hmm. I have clients who are in their 70s and clients who are in college. I have teenagers. It's like everybody who just wants to start a YouTube channel. And when you're that broad, even you guys know, if you have a YouTube channel, when you're that broad, you're not appealing to anybody. And I just wasn't sure if having the desire to start a YouTube channel was specific enough.
To like base this whole thing
base
on.
like the whole next 50 weeks, because I wanted to set myself up for success. And like, I felt like having a very specific target audience would make everything fall into place. And then I went to my first group coaching call. This is a little preview for the vlog that's going out on Monday. But basically, you know, she was like, don't do that. Stick to what you know and hone in on the idea that what you specialize in is not helping people become full-time YouTubers, full-time creators. That's not the goal. Okay. Cause even Tom, like, he is not doing this full-time. And I consider him one of like my star students that I helped coach. It's his hobby. It's his passion. If it turns into that, it turns into that. But first and foremost, the person that I'm trying to help is, you know, feeling a tug of like, I think I have something worth sharing, but I'm scared to. I don't know how. I don't know anything about this YouTube world. I'm scared to put myself out there. And when they see me do it, I make them feel like it's possible. Like, don't worry. It's fun. Like, here's how you do it. I'll walk you through. I'll hold your hand. You won't be alone. I will encourage you.
Yes.
And like, you know, I'll show you the ins and outs and all of that. That's my expertise.
Your superpower.
That's my superpower. But to condense all that and like figure out the language and the messaging and, you know, the sales and the marketing around that is just so, it's something I'm still trying to figure out. But anyway, I was just, I can't tell you, I lost sleep. I have been just like, because my life depends on this. This is my livelihood. So there's a little different kind of pressure of like, who cares? You know, yeah, like I need this to make money. So I was just like, Tom, I don't know who the hell I'm serving or anything.
Yeah.
So
Well, and there's the pressure of like, if you're part of a program, you know, you don't want to waste the investment of time and money in that. And
yeah. Like I want to be part of this program and like do it well.
The resume or whatever, like the past success story list is like,
people are making like 7 figures and that's fine. I'm not trying to do that. You guys know if you watch my channel.
I know, but you're going through there and you're like, this person, it was like so many people you look up to.
Yeah.
Like they're from here. And now you're like, oh God, you know.
And I'll talk about what the program is. I just don't want to talk about it yet because I feel like I should have some results. I don't want to like talk about it in case, but I'm sure it'll be great.
But that's what was playing into you feeling just like a sense of confusion, a sense of just anxiety, a sense of
because like I don't know, guys, like just think like if I knew who, like if you know that your business is like, okay, I'm a business coach and I specifically help businesses who are people who want to build online courses about a creative thing, and you know they are attracting their customer is someone who like creates stuff on Etsy. Well, then you know exactly what keywords and tags and SEO things, and you know exactly what Facebook groups to go hang out in, and you know exactly what YouTube videos these people are searching. Like it's just so straightforward. Whereas for my thing, like, you know, it's just not. And like I don't know if that's a limiting belief of like I'm not being creative enough. Like Heather, figure it out.
Heather, just create.
Yeah, like figure it out. And basically what the coach said to me was don't box yourself in. It is totally fair to just narrow your audience to people who want to start YouTube channels, and that's it. Because she was even saying like, I don't have a client avatar. I don't have a demographic. Like there's no demographic.
Said human people.
Yeah, she was like, my audience is a human person who wants to start an online course, because there's literally people of all ages, genders. You know, there's people who are making courses about intuition and weight loss and like fitness, RVs. And you know, her course was about renovating an RV. And there's people who want to do YouTube, and there's people who want to do business and Facebook ads and all. It's just like all people of all things, and she managed to do it. And so she was just looking at me like, just change like online courses to YouTube. It's the same thing. It's, you don't have a demographic, but it's just about creating enough content so that you show people, like you just do what you've already done, but like multiplied. So I haven't really like I haven't like sat down and digested this yet, because this literally happened yesterday. But what I can say is what I think I'm going to do moving forward is just create more.
Well, so it goes back to, though, you started your YouTube channel to document like this life change, right? We've talked about that on past episodes of this show. And that wasn't to get views, like you said. It was just to have fun. It was just to do these kinds of things. And now when you've been feeling this pressure, which you've been feeling for a long time, I think, of the YouTube channel, whether it's this one or like your more, serious, like tutorial based channel, each video has to play, like, it just, there's a pressure of what the narrative is, what to include. And that changes the idea of like, I'm just going to make something right now. And it reminds me, Heather and I like use this as an example all the time, but years ago, like when I was a lot younger, I was, just thinking about like, what about a career in like photography or something like that? And I remember reading an article from a guy, this is like pre-YouTube-ish times, and he was explaining the difference in, like, he was an incredible photographer making a great, side living on photography, and then decided to take the leap, quit his job, jumped into photography full time. And his like first day as full-time, freelance photographer, when he picked up his camera, he said like it physically felt different than any other time I'd picked up this camera, which I'd held, a million times before. But the weight of it, of this is how I'm going to pay my bills, this is how I'm going to feed my family, this is how I'm going to build up this business, like everything rests on my ability to use this thing, was just a different weight. And I almost feel that's a similar version of what you were dealing with.
It's just hard because I don't want to say I get caught up, but it's really natural for me to, it's whatever I surround myself with, obviously. So like, first 2 years, I didn't know what I was doing. So I was just like having fun. Like fun was literally the compass. And then I was like, okay, I have to scale, I have to grow, I have to be really like serious about this business thing. And then when I came here, I moved in here, I integrated myself into the business community, and all of my focus was like YouTube marketing, because everyone looked at me like a cash cow of like, Heather, how can you help me make a YouTube channel that's going to help me increase my bottom line, get me more customers, get me more clients, get me more exposure, build my brand, blah, de, da. And so like, that was my thing where I was like, oh, I have to do YouTube for entrepreneurs. And if you go to my YouTube tutorial channel, it literally says, I teach you how to build a brand on YouTube. This is for entrepreneurs and independent creators.
You're like, I want to change.
Yeah. And I'm like, but is that what I set out to do? Like,
it sounds good. But
I know I can do it. Yeah. And like, if you, again, I'm so hung up on the whole, like, target audience can identify themselves, because if you are an entrepreneur and you want to build an online presence and you want to do it through YouTube, I want you to be able to be like, oh, I'm the person to go to. But I don't think like when I think about the people that have had the most success with, it isn't someone who's doing it for business. It just isn't. It's like, it ends up becoming part of that, but that's not what it's set out to be. It's always story first. It's always like, here's my journey, here's my perspective, here's the thing I want to teach, here's what inspires me so that I can inspire you. I don't know. I'm just rambling, I feel like.
No, that's an overview. There's no solid answer, but that's where you've been coming from. That's where I've been coming from. And both of us, in both cases, it was you reminding me that like, this is the core of why you wanted to spend your time and energy on this. Because there's other things I could do, like with my time, even nothing would be an option.
Yeah.
But this is why you wanted to do this. Like, remember that, and like kind of getting back to the root of it and to the core of it. And that's sort of the same thing for you, because going full circle, just in working with the people in your program so far, what they essentially told you was like, go back to what you were doing and where, you were having the biggest effect on people, and like, remember what that was and live there.
But so here's right. And that's what I'm going to do. But even again, I don't know if this is a limiting belief, okay? But the way that I see it is, if you have a target audience for a business, then you know exactly where to go to talk to your potential customers and what to say to them, okay? For me, I don't have that. They're all walks of life. So how the hell do you approach that? Well, you have to literally like sprinkle all of these breadcrumbs everywhere, so that eventually someone, your target audience will stumble upon you, which is exactly what happened to Tom. This is exactly how we met. I made a video about a boosted board.
True.
Has nothing to do with YouTube. I made a video about how much fun I had with my boosted board. He was looking for a boosted board. He found my video, started digging through my channel, and then we connected.
Well, that's where the algorithm came into play, because the next video it served up was you talking about digital media. And then
like even now, you know, a lot of people who connect with me, who like connect with me beyond just hitting the subscribe button, they actually like send me emails or reach out to me via DM and stuff. They'll come from my ADHD videos. So the videos where I talk about how I have ADHD and how I like cope as an entrepreneur. People, you know, they'll reach out and tell me like, wow, I'm so inspired by your story. Like I've been thinking about creating this, or I've been thinking about starting my own business, but I just didn't know if someone with ADHD could do it, and blah, de, da, de, da. And it's not, they weren't empowered because they saw me talking about YouTube. They were empowered because of the topic of about whether it's ADHD, it's boosted boards, it's something else, it's, you know, whatever. And that scares me because there is no definitive path forward. And I feel like that's always how it's been with everything in my life, is that I feel like I'm just the unique, like even the coach was like, yeah, you just have to do it that way.
Like, we don't normally tell people like
not to niche
you're
down.
always like the exception.
Yeah, like exactly. I'm always the exception. Like everyone is like, okay, yeah, niche down, but you don't niche down. Okay, so then if I don't niche down, what the hell am I supposed to do? And this is where I think it's a limiting belief, because it's not, I shouldn't look at it like, okay, now I'm screwed. I should look at it like, here's the challenge. How do you find success without niching down? Get creative, bro. Like figure it out. If you are the one paving the path and pioneering the whole thing because it's never been done before, so be it. And do it with a big smile on your face. You could do it.
I don't have a mic drop sound effect, but
that's what I okay, so we're gonna
super sticker.
I got a super X&A Stories, who also has a YouTube channel. And they're a couple, which is cool.
Yes. Oh, yes. We have been the crazy stories. I'll update you later.
Oh, cool.
We connected via Instagram.
Oh, cool. Okay, so let me Ben is getting real antsy, but let me
he's getting antsy because it's usually the time of day that he goes out and chases the laser pointer. So it's not like he's being abused. He just wants to go chase the green dot.
He's like obsessed with the laser. Okay,
but he knows it at like 6:30 to 7 every day. That's the time to start begging.
To see if I love this mentality, Heather. It's not the sexy way, but it'll make you sleep good at night. That right there is happiness. Yes, 100%. Okay. Aaron, it is worth pointing out that you're on week 1 or 2 of this, and there's much more road ahead. You're giving yourself an opportunity to grow and develop. That's great.
Exactly.
I know, but I also feel like I'm not starting at 0 because I've had 4 years to freaking figure this out. Okay, so here's how long it's been, right? Which I am not discrediting myself. I acknowledge the progress that I've made. But I also... Anyway, well, here's the thing, right? Patricia Regier, who's in the comments, I was literally in a mastermind with her 2 years ago about online courses. And I'm still trying to get that same online course off the ground. So like, this is how long it's been. And that also gives me hesitation, because it's like, what am I doing differently from 2 years ago? Because clearly something isn't working, which is why I enrolled in this program in the first place. And I feel like I'm already like coming to new revelations and stuff.
It's already been worth the price of admission.
Yeah. But still, like, there's a little bit of me, like, there's a part of me that's like, okay, you're not at 0 because you've made 3 courses at this point. You've gone through the training, you've gone through the experience, you've created, tossed it out and created again and created even better, and you've evolved and all of that, but it's still not off the ground. So anyway. Let's see. Aaron says, I envy the motivation and creativity you've both brought to your online endeavors. I really struggle with doing stuff after real work. You both inspire me. I can't even imagine. Yeah.
I don't think you should beat yourself up for that.
Let's see. Patricia says, I'm starting to slowly figure it out. I also serve a large target audience, and it's been a journey to figure out a niche. Yeah. Heather, you still teach? Is there a link to pricing, etc.? I haven't taken it down yet, but I'm about to, because this group coaching program does not recommend that you have your courses just accessible always. because you're supposed to put them in a marketing funnel. But if you want to go check out Zero to YouTube Hero right now, you can. I'm very proud of it. It's an awesome course.
ZeroToYouTubeHero.com.
ZeroToYouTubeHero.com. We also have a mastermind, and we'd love more members.
YTMastermind.com.
Yeah, if you guys want to like join a community run by Tom and I of other YouTube creators, other people who are building their channels, and just hang out with us, it's fun. So you could. That's at YTMastermind.com. This is all.
It's all a front for the brand.
It's all a marketing tactic. No, it's not.
We waited however many minutes, an hour and 9 minutes to drop the pitch.
Okay. XNA, we like your content, Heather. We are still trying to figure it out. I explained to Tom on Instagram. We will support both of you on this journey. Awesome.
Yes.
Kyle Simpson, Zero to YouTube Hero. Hi guys, happy to see you. Hi Kyle. Okay, see, another thing is like the 10-day tackle, which was super fun.
Mhm.
Kyle did that. I want to do that again. Patricia did it too. It was like
10 videos in 10 days.
10 videos in 10 days.
Get the gears going.
And like I had a whole sign up and like, I mean, I wanted people to make content. That was my idea.
Like 90.
No, it was like 120 videos that were made.
Sorry.
Yeah, it was over 100. We broke 100.
That's crazy. I mean, to just start a thing and you're like, now 100 different little stories have been told in 10 days.
Yeah,
is kind of amazing.
But it was supposed to, like, the business behind that was when you do a challenge, you get people to sign up for your emailing list, right? So basically you sell to them later. And there was like 14 people who signed up total. I had a blast doing it. Patricia is still creating content to this day, which is amazing. Like it was awesome. I'm so proud of how it turned out, but also I can't help but feel like, I only have 14 people signed up. Anyway. Up North is asking, what is your definition of success on YouTube? That's a great question. From what angle are we asking? Let's see. Okay, my definition of success on YouTube is the thing. YouTube is supposed to be my like creative outlet. So when I create, I am happy. And to me, that is success. The part where it gets a little muddled is that my business is YouTube coaching, and my YouTube channel and my YouTube videos are really my resume, right? For the thing that I sell. And so that's where it starts to get a little bit
muddled.
Yeah, it's like it's hard for me to just focus on happy when I'm also looking at the numbers and it's all red, and like it's a scary place, because just like the conversation we had earlier of like, you don't chase the numbers, don't chase the trends for the sake of the numbers. I don't want to chase the numbers, like the dollar signs, but also the dollar signs are what keep me alive. So it's like there's a different pressure. I think that there is a balance that I just need to figure out. I need to challenge myself to figure it out. There has to be a way. I don't know if I'm just not being patient or, I don't know. So that's me. Let's see. I am most creative just before sleeping. My brain should rest, but it becomes Usain Bolt. Let's see. Heather, where do you imagine to be on YouTube in 5 years? So here's my goal. Okay. If you don't know, my company's name is called ShareSpark Media. And ShareSpark Media is the movement to educate and empower people to utilize digital media to achieve meaningful goals. Okay. That I made that mission statement like
it's a good one.
First month, May 2016. And that's what I want to do. I want to educate and empower people to utilize digital media to achieve meaningful goals. It just so happens that the focus, right, is YouTube. So I want to help people use YouTube to achieve their goal, meaningful goals, right? And I believe that everyone has a story worth sharing. And when you share it on YouTube, you can spark your potential in ways that you would have never imagined, because that's what happened to me. I started sharing my story on YouTube. I'm now talking to you guys and you're all over the world. I'm married to this guy who we met on YouTube. We would have never met. This whole thing would not exist if not for YouTube. And I think that's such an awesome thing. I'm not saying that if you make a YouTube channel, you're going to find a husband. I'm just saying that when you create on YouTube and you share your story, not only will you discover things about yourself, but you're going to see the world in a new light, because it's just what happens. And it just so happened that my new light was this, but your new light could be something totally different. And this is what I want to do forever. Like, I just want to help as many people. Like, I want to help stories get told that would otherwise not be told, and there's so many people who want to start YouTube channels that are they're scared, and then the stories never end up getting told because of fear. And I want to be the bridge. I want to be the butt kick to empower people to be like, no, you can create. Finley's literally trying to dig himself out of the crate right now, so we are in a ticking time bomb here. Happiness should be the most important goal. Yes. Why does Tom have to? Where is the enthusiasm?
It's been a long week.
Okay, we gotta go, guys, because Finley. Can you guys hear this? Like, Finley's literally trying.
He's just digging to China over there.
Yeah. What's wrong with here? Let me show you guys.
Are you taking him out? Yeah. Okay, guest speaker. Get ready. Oh, geez. Ow. Oh, there we go.
All right, Finn.
He talks a lot. Maybe you get him to talk into the mic.
Finley, who's this?
He's just sniffing. So we gotta go. Yes.
But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that a little longer.
It's fun though. Thank you so much for just being kind and supportive.
Yeah, thanks for being here. We love doing this, and we're gonna try to stick to Thursdays at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So, also, I'll tell you guys right now, we are planning to do something special every 10th episode. We've been planning it. We've got ideas on the marker board in the kitchen. So we're gonna have like a celebratory thing every 10 episodes, and obviously we're gonna start with the 10th episode. So that's in a few weeks, but stay tuned for that. Mark your calendars.
Yes. And before we wrap up, though, Muhil said, "Do you think it's an advantage to start young on YouTube?" Yes, I do think it's an advantage, but I don't think that means you need to put pressure on yourself to commit to it, or box yourself in or anything like.
So here's what I would say to that. I would say that starting and creating when you are young is super important. Mm-hmm. Do you have to have it figured out? Mm-hmm. Hell to the no. Like, do not have any expectations. There's no way you can have it figured out because you don't know. You don't know what you don't know, right? But I think it's so cool. Like, when you're 20, you're gonna have 5 years of content already. How cool! Like, even if that content is like all over the place, it's still a symbol of your drive, your determination, your creativity, your dedication. Like, that's all, worth it. Okay. Aaron. So I gotta roll the R. Prefers longer lives like this one. You should let both your dogs work on a podcast. Oh, you should do a call-in show. I would love to chat someday. We should do that every
11 episodes.
Yeah, every 11 episodes. But we use StreamYard, and we could totally send you guys a link, and we wanted to do a call-in show. What should we do? Let's do that for episode 9.
That's next week?
No, episode 8 is next week.
Okay.
So on episode 9, we're going to do a call-in show. Give us a topic. And I'll put a link on Twitter if you want to join us. We'll have like a couple of you guys join, because that'd be so cool. I'd love to talk to you guys. Okay, this is great. I'm going to bed now. I'm blaming the couple's table. Aaron, you keep saying you're not going to be here, and you're here every time. And like, I feel bad. I feel like we should bump the time up.
We need to do it to your time.
Wait, can you lean? Because now I'm out of focus. Sorry. X and A, don't stop. This gives us the motivation to figure out what we want to support others with disabilities. This is awesome. I can't wait you need to fill me in on what's happening here.
It's a crazy story.
Cool. Okay.
That's great.
All right, guys. Thanks for
so
being
much.
here. We'll see you guys next Thursday, 6 p.m.
Next Thursday.
Wait, what's the outro again?
This is, I don't know.
It's like.
Oh, it's time to clear the table.
Do.
And then we play our song. And so we don't have to edit. We upload this. These
Bye,
podcasts
guys.
are available on
Take it
all
easy.
major platforms. Stay safe. Have fun.
Bye.
Thank you.